All right, this is the second part for Chapter 5, Section 1. We're going to go ahead and go over the one-to-one property. So one-to-one property in this case is when A is greater than 0 and it cannot be 1. Okay, so meaning you have to have the same base. Okay, so if I'm looking at this, what they're giving me right here is a to the power of x and a to the power of y. If and only if x equals y, meaning these two are the same bases. So a x equals a y. I'm going to go ahead and cancel my bases out and then solve for whatever's left over. So in that case, x equals y. So when possible, change the larger base to a power of the smaller number. Okay, and it'll make more sense in the examples so you can see when you're solving. Anything raised to the power of 0 equals 1, please do not forget that. All right, let's go ahead and solve some of these examples. So remember, we're trying to get the same base. So if I'm looking at this example, I have 9 equals 3 to the power of x plus 1. So in this case, I'm trying to get the same base of 3. So how do I get the same base of 3? I have to go ahead and change my 9. What do I know? I know 3 to the power of 2 gives me 9. And then bringing everything else down, my bases are going to cancel out. And then all I'm solving for is my x. Keep in mind, I'm just solving all the exponents. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. I'm going to end up with 1 equaling x, and that would be my answer. All right, looking at the next one, 16, I have to try and get the same base. However, I have a fraction here. I want to try and get rid of that fraction. So what I'm going to do is use a negative exponent. So let me grab another color. All right, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and switch this. So now I'm going to get 2 to the power of negative 1 equals 8. I'm going to go ahead and try and get a base of 2. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and all I have to do is try to change this 8 to get a base of 2. And I know 2 to the power of 3 equals 8. And then don't forget to make sure you're distributing those powers and solving for that. So now I'm going to get 2 to the power of negative x. Cancel out my bases. And all I have left is negative x equals 3. Divide by negative 1. And x equals negative 3. And that's my answer. So nothing too difficult. Again, all you're trying to do is get those same bases. Same thing here. Trying to change this with a base of 2. We've done this one already. So 2 to the power of 3, bringing everything else down. Because I have the same bases, go ahead and cancel them out. 3 equals 2x minus 1. And all I'm doing is basic algebra, solve for x. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 2, and x equals 2. Nothing too difficult here. Just make sure you're getting the same base. All right, looking at the next set of examples, same thing. But looking at this one, I do have a fraction, trying to get rid of that fraction. All you have to do is flip it. So flipping them, I'm going to get 3 to the power of negative 1 times negative x equals 27. Trying to get that same base of 3. So going ahead and changing this, 3 to the power of 3 gives me 27. And then multiplying these two together, I'm going to have 3 to the power of x, because a negative times a negative is a positive. And 3's are going to cancel out, and super easy, x equals 3, and that is my answer. Going ahead and doing the same thing for number 19. I don't want that fraction, So I'm going to go ahead and change it, flip it. I'm going to get 3 to the power of negative 1 times x equals 81. Trying to get that same base of 3. And this is going to be 3 to the power of 4, gives me 81. And don't forget to multiply 3 to the power of negative x. I'm going ahead and solving my powers because my bases are the same. Negative x equals 4, divide by negative 1, and x equals negative 4 as my answer. Again, with practice, these will get a lot easier, but you guys have to know your times tables because you will not get a calculator for this. All right, now looking at 20, how am I going to get the same base when I have something at the top? You have to make sure you distribute. So if I'm looking at this one, to get the same base, I'm going to change my 8 to a base of 2. I'm keeping the 2 to the power of x plus 4, but I'm going ahead and changing this one to 2 to the power of 3, and then putting everything in parentheses. Now I have to make sure I distribute that 3, 2 to the power of 3x minus 18, and then bringing my other side down. If you look at it, I have the same base, so I'm going to cancel those out. And then let me change this color. I'm going to go ahead and solve. X plus 4 equals 3x minus 18. Solving this one, I'm going to go ahead and subtract x. And I'm going to add 18 to both sides. I'm going to end up with 22 equals 2x divided by 2. X is going to equal 11. Again, not too hard. Make sure you have your signs and you're solving correctly. All right, another super easy one here for 21. Seems like we've done this one already. 8. Trying to get that base of 2, bringing this down. 8. And getting a base of 2, I would get 2 to the power of 3. Cancel out those bases. 3 minus x equals 3. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. And negative x equals 0. Please do not put your answer as undefined. No answer, no solution. My answer is going to be 0. X equals 0 is your answer. 0 is an answer here. It's not undefined or no solution. It is 0. Looking at the next one, trying to get the base of 5. This should be pretty easy. Everyone should know this one. Keeping what I have. And we know 5 times 5 is 25, so that's 5 to the power of 2. Canceling out those bases and just solving for x. This is plus 1. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1. 2x equals 1. Divide by 2. And yes, you can get a fraction. X equals 1/2. All right, looking at 23. Okay, even though it's e, I can still solve this one. So looking at this, don't forget you have to distribute those powers. So I'm going to have e to the power of 4x minus 1 equals e to the power of 2x. Going ahead and canceling out those bases since they're both e's, and solving for x minus 1 equals 2x. Get your variables and your constants on one side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 4x from both sides of my equal sign. I'm going to get negative 1 equals negative 2x. And then divide by negative 2. And x is going to equal 1/2 as well. Okay, again, please make sure you practice these and follow the rules. Try and get that same base.